Hello, I'm Harry Cole, the Sun's political editor. In my column this week, I'm looking at what's going to happen with the Tory party once again. So Simon Clarke, a former cabinet minister, went public with his calls this week for Rishi Sunak to resign. However, he was left high and dry as no other Tory MPs came out to support him and agree with him that it's time for yet another leadership election in the Conservative Party. Now, the arcane rules of the Conservative Party mean that just 56 MPs, if they write to the 1922 committee boss, Sir Graham Brady, and say they want a leadership election, then there'll be a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. Now, Prime Ministers tend to win these. Theresa May had one shortly before she was ousted, which she won, and Boris Johnson had one as well, which he won, but then was gone within 2 months. So 15% of Tory MPs would be required for this vote of no confidence. Just, not a massive amount. However, senior Tory MPs, including Harriet Baldwin, who's the boss of the Treasury Select Committee, a big figure in the party, is actually saying that threshold should be raised to 50%. That would mean 174 Tory MPs would be required to say they need a new leader before Rishi Sunak can be challenged. That would put any idea of a leadership election before the next general election to bed. Now, whether that's going to happen or not remains to be seen, but it looks like that Rishi Sunak realizes he's in a bit of trouble, and some of his allies now are starting to look at ways they can basically skew the rules to stop him being ousted. But that's not to say that within the Tory party, at the moment, there is around 100 MPs who are desperately worried that Rishi Sunak is driving them off a cliff. They think they're going to lose the next election and things are getting desperate. They're looking to Kemi Badenoch. They want the Trade Secretary, popular on the right wing, to basically step in as a caretaker leader, perhaps not win the next election, but stem the losses. Rishi Sunak is polling at 20%. That is pretty much unsustainable for any Prime Minister in the long term. So while everyone's saying it's happy families and hunky-dory at the moment, how long really will they be able to see off a challenge? And it looks like that Rishi Sunak's trying to bend the rules a little bit to shore up his position. Also this week's column, I'm looking at Labour's continued mess over their £28 billion pledge to borrow loads more money to spend on green investment. Now, Keir Starmer wants to get rid of that figure. His team think it's a, quote, albatross around their neck because they think they're going to get attacked by the Tories on this. It's probably the biggest difference in terms of spending between the Labour Party and the Tory party going into the next election. Now, Ed Miliband, the quite left-wing and greeny environment secretary for Labour, has said, he wants to keep this figure. He wants to be a key part of the manifesto. So there's a real split, which we are looking at in the column this week, emerging in the Labour Party. And I hear the second week of March is when they're going to finally put that figure to the sword and try and get rid of it. We're also having some fun with Ian Blackford, the ex-SNP leader. The SNP, the Scottish Nationalists, have a very strict rule that they never take peerages in the House of Lords, except Ian Blackford wants a peerage. So it's putting himself on a collision course with his successor, who ousted him in a coup, and that's a good fight to be had. And also another blast from the past, Ollie Robbins. He was the guy that negotiated Theresa May's botched Brexit deal that didn't get through the House of Commons, was rejected and led to Boris Johnson taking over the Conservative Party. Now, he swanned off after his failure in the civil service land to a big banking job, very well-paid banking job. But I hear he's been telling friends this week he has unfinished business. He wants to come back and maybe even be Sir Keir Starmer's cabinet secretary. So lots of fun to be had in the column. Give it a read.